The H12 Prep Baseball Report. Visit the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Get lessons from top local instructors. Use our team workout and cage facility specials, newly renovated, for baseball and softball. Plus, have your performance metrics analyzed using patented technology in HitTrax. That's the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Call Scott Hoppy Hopgood at 619-328-1412. That's the H12 Sports Academy in El Cajon.
Welcome to the H12 Prep Baseball Report. I'm Ramon Scott, joined by East County Sports.com's Dave Dickens. Joining us this week, senior from the Granite Hills Eagles, Trevor Hazelhurst, Bradley Harris. Thanks for joining us, guys. The Eagles ranked 11th right now in the latest county media poll, and we'll see what happens next week, but I think all the results are kind of as for them this week, so right on the cusp of the top 10, ready for the regular season. But hold on, the Eagles are going to be out for 10 days, Dave. We can keep these guys here all night doing this show because they don't play for nearly 2 weeks while other conference teams open up league play this week. We got 3 Eagles on the set. Why don't you start us off?
Well, why don't we do it another segment maybe next week since you guys have days off. No, how do you think that's going to affect you guys? I'm gonna ask you first, foremost, Trevor, to have that 10-day period. I mean, how's that going to work for you?
I think the 10 days would be great because all the games we've been playing, like over the couple of weeks, getting the practices in, getting your swings down, and ready for the league is just, I think it'd be good.
Perfect. And thoughts, Brad, on the 10-day period?
I think, always like continue to play, through the season. You don't really want too much of a break, off. You don't want too much time off, but the time off's always good whenever you can get it. Just being able to practice more, I guess, and work on things that you're not necessarily be able to work on when you have games all the time.
Yeah, Brad. Coach Davis is probably one of the most prepared coaches in the East County, if not the whole county. So what do you guys plan on doing, do you think? Or do you think it'll be business as usual? Take me through a routine practice with the Eagles. Have a strict list of things that we do, or does he mix it up? Do we have fun? And what are we going to do for 10 days?
We're basically stick to business as usual, I guess. We focus a lot on hitting is one of the main things that we want to work on. A lot of BP. We also want to do a lot of scrimmaging to continue to, get game at bats and feel for the game, and also put some people in some different positions and try some different things out with defense and pitchers and things like that, making sure that they get enough time on the mound and everything like that.
Well, another thing I wanted to ask you guys about, Trevor, this past couple weeks we had some tournament ball and we played the Lions tournament and we had a couple of out-of-town teams, Westland, Oregon, Silverado, out of Nevada. What do you guys focus on when you're playing a team from out of town? A colleague of mine, Adam Paul, wanted me to ask you about that.
It's always fun playing teams out of town, but it's very challenging because we found out they're like number 1 in the state of Nevada. So that was pretty cool to be there. So.
Yeah, those are big teams.
And is it since you are going to Nevada, that kind of give you a touch of what's going to be expected, or?
Yeah, it was definitely cool to see.
Yeah, well, tell me about that. You've committed to the University of Nevada, and I'm sure one of the guys that you really look up to is up there right now and playing for the Wolfpack. Dylan Schrum, a former Eagle. Legendary Eagle, really, by now, by the time you look at the things he accomplished at Granite Hills. And also another guy from East County up there, Jordan Jackson, who has developed into a real late-inning specialist for the Wolfpack. Not maybe 9-10 appearances with an ERA under 2 so far. What do you look at? When I look at you, I know you hit 5 home runs last year. You're a hitter, but you've been a good pitcher as well, and your pitching's looking good this year. Big improvement, really, over last year, where maybe you were a little bit disappointed in the results. What are you going to do in Nevada? Do you know? Do they know?
I've talked to the coach about that. I'm probably not going to pitch, so I'll probably just play outfield. Yeah.
Well, that would be great for them. I want to take back a memory that I have of of you and the Eagles when these guys won the Division I CIF championship 2 years ago against the Vista Panthers in that game at USD. And Trevor, you had that amazing assist in the bottom of the inning, assist from right field on a play that, the way you described it in previous interviews, you're almost begging the ball to be hit to you. Get a jump on that, and it couldn't have floated in more perfectly for a run-up start. Great hustle, great slide by the Panther. And tell me about the whole play. Tell me about your work with your catcher and that whole moment of joy.
Yeah, I definitely would want to relive that moment again. Just the feeling of that excitement. Winning a CIF championship is definitely incredible. So usually normal people get scared when that kind of situation, but I definitely want to come to me and I knew I could throw him out and play.
Brad, now I want to talk a little bit about your improvement this year as opposed to last year. What did you do in the off season in particular to improve your game as a whole?
With my travel baseball team, I went and played, and I just was able to just work on playing multiple positions, learning different things like that. A lot of time in the cage, working with Coach Davis, and just working on just my swing, just taking longer swings over time, and just trying to figure out what things work for me and everything, and just trying to hone in my skills. It's just putting everything together.
Now, what is it really like, guys? I guess I'll look to Trevor on this, and then you can add your 2 cents. What is it like to be in the dugout or next to Coach Davis on a daily basis during game time?
Davis is definitely a silent guy during the game. It's kind of scary. He's definitely a great coach.
Coach Davis, he really knows how to kind of keep things calm, and when things get tough in baseball, he really knows how to control the game and control his players and everything. It's definitely something that I look up to, which is definitely good.
And how did you guys pour the Gatorade for him or anything like that when he won his 400th? Or
He didn't tell us anything about it, so.
so you kept it a secret.
Yeah, we would have.
That sounds like typical Coach Davis right there. Trevor, a couple of numbers written on your hat. Of course, I can't help but bring up Will Burton, our teammate, who would have been a huge part of this team. Not to mention a huge part of your life for many years now as your tight-knit group, 4 or 5 buddies that hung out together. I love looking at the pictures on the Twitter feed of you guys, and I want to share with you before I ask you to comment on your relationship. I have a terrific picture of you and him after winning that championship, holding your patch. You can see that right there. Just my memory, if I could, Dave, I want to, of course, it's on the field, because I don't know Will like these guys. I know Trevor Barnes was so important to the Eagle program, but, when he caught that pass, were you watching that game when he caught that pass against Steel Canyon? He was a real life Gronk, is what I like to call him, because of his on-the-field play, a man among boys, if you will. And your relationship with him, you guys, that team that won the championship. Tell me about the baseball memories, if you will.
Definitely the star of the team. Funniest kid you'll ever meet. Goofball. He's serious at times, but when he gets on the mound, he's definitely a different kid.
Brad was so talented at football, obviously, almost picking his school, and basketball too. Baseball was his favorite type of sports.
Yeah, he really enjoyed coming out playing baseball every day, when the season rolled around and everything, and playing for multiple teams, outside in the off season and stuff. And he enjoyed being a pitcher. He enjoyed playing different positions over time. And over the years, playing with him, and even in the little league and different things like that, playing against him, playing with him, he was definitely one of a kind player kind of guy. He was really something special.
I find that so interesting.
Was he almost, would you say that he was somewhat of a mini Davis in training when he was honed in on the mound?
I could definitely
Right?
see that, yeah.
Well, coaching is in his blood. I imagine if you guys don't, one of these guys might end up being the coach of the Eagles when Coach Davis retires.
Absolutely.
But, Brad, you've had a tremendous improvement as well this season. As you mentioned, the 341 average, the 14 RBIs, and from what I can tell, you guys aren't disappointed in the lineup. It's the same four guys at the top of the lineup: TK, Parker, Sean McGrew, Trevor, then yourself. That top four. Tell me about these guys in front of you.
So for TK, he does a great job. He's a sophomore. He's a transfer to our school, and he's been a really great addition, playing solid third base and being able to get on base to lead off the game and lead off an inning, different things like that. He's able to get the job done, and he can even get some RBIs when we need to. With the bottom of the order, they can get on base for him and everything like that. Sean McGrew. He does a great job in the number 2 spot. He does being on base for us to hit him in behind him. TK and Sean both do that very well, and I just think they make our jobs, easier, I guess. Hitting with runners on base is, I feel like is, easier, I guess. It's just better for our team to score runs in the first inning, the first couple innings with those guys. It's really.
So who's if I may ask you, Trevor, who's the dugout guy? Like, who's the leader in the dugout besides Davis, would you say, of all your teammates?
I would say myself and Brad, probably.
Well, I'm going to wait while these other teams get rolling in league play. We'll talk about some of those matchups in just a minute, but in 10 days, it's going to be the longest 10 days of the baseball season for these guys. They're going to open up the Grossmont Hills League with the Grossmont Foothillers. Guys, you don't have to say it, I'll say it. The Eagles got swept by the Helix Highlanders and the Grossmont Foothillers last season, out to a disappointing league season. Talked to these guys before the show, they're not happy about it. We're going to have to turn around right away. I expect a split with Grossmont in that first series, just based on the fact that the Eagles are still closely rated, if you look at the computer rankings, and they're going to play one game on the road and one game at home. So I'm going to think that, I'm going to say maybe Trevor and Brad could get the start. Trevor's going to start. Clay, another great man in the rotation. Tell me about Clay, you guys. I think Coach Davis can opt for either two of the three of you in that series. Tell me about Clay's season so far.
I really think so. Clay Fordham has really done a great job as a sophomore. Being starting against Cathedral, different things. Really good teams like that with a lot of good seniors on there. It's just he's done a great job, kind of holding things in and doing the job and getting us wins. And I really think I do believe that he can do well against Grossmont and Helix and other teams in the league.
Trevor, we have to get off to a better start. We got upset by Santana to start, and it just kind of left us, wanting more, and then we had the big games we couldn't come through. So what are we going to do against Grossmont? I mean, they've got some big bats on that team. Jesse Garcia is the home run leader in the East County with 4 home runs, and they've got some good pitching talent as well, and I think stack up. Jack Hyde obviously had the no-hitter that everybody's talked about, but also Tyler Parent looks like he could have the hot hand and get the start. Chris Giovango and Zach Salina is coming out of the bullpen, it looks like. What do you know about these Foothillers? We got to take them down at least once.
I played with Tyler and Chris for a long time, just from 8 years old till now. And I know Tyler's a really good pitcher and he has a really good bat. And Chris, solid pitching rotation starter. And he's committed to UCSD, and that's really awesome for him. And yeah, I'm excited for that series.
And you know who they have in there too that they snuck in there to help them out even more in the pitching situation is Matt Atkinson, Retro Sports and former Monta Vista head coach. So from what I understand from Jordan, that's also kind of a tremendous addition to helping Tyler in particular.
Now, one thing I want to ask you about, guys, is our closer. I think we have a closer at Granite Hills. I mean, it's Jake Fenn. I mean, when Jake gets the ball in the 7th inning, it's got to bring up the energy a little bit, like when you bring in the closer to finish out. He's 3 for 3 so far with a 1.02 ERA. What's going on, Brad, with Jake?
Well, I mean, Jake comes in, he does his job. He, comes into tight situations or, comes in the 7th inning, final 3 outs. Those are the hardest 3 outs of the game to get, and he does his job. strikes people out and does whatever it takes to get people out and shut down the game and shut down the other team.
The H12 Prep Baseball Report. Visit the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Get lessons from top local instructors. Use our team workout and cage facility specials, newly renovated, for baseball and softball. Plus, have your performance metrics analyzed using patented technology in HitTrax. That's the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Call Scott Hoppy Hopgood at 619-328-1412. That's the H12 Sports Academy in El Cajon.
All right, so let's get going now in the East County Top 5. We're going to roll it with an opponent to the Granite Hills Eagles later on this season, Helix. They're ranked number 6 in the county coming into the week. They have the big GMC, Bill Dickens, Gordon Thompson bracket championship game on Saturday against Eastlake. Then they'll open the season up against Santana next week. These guys will be interested in the results while they sit around. Junior Carlos Okita had a game-winning hit for the Highlanders against Bonita Vista and 2 RBIs against Scripps Ranch. And transfer Alonzo Richardson, who came over from Christian, made his season debut. He was a prolific receiver, if you remember, for Brad Jeremiah and the Christian Patriots. Also, Helix Zach Owens, last week's guest, said he'd be going to Azusa Pacific. That seems like a great fit for Zach, Trevor. You know Zach.
Yeah, I played Zach with last summer in the Dovetail team, and he's definitely got a pretty swing, excellent catcher. I love him catching me all the time.
Yeah, he told that story about catching that no-hitter that Will was a part of, and obviously, just as we go along now and we live our lives, I mean, it's going to be something that you'll never forget. And we might have just had a memory of it, and now it'll be such a good memory for him at that moment. So, meanwhile, Santana's played a rugged schedule, much like these guys, much like El Cap, but they played a great game against Madison in a 4-3 loss on Wednesday behind leadoff man T.C. Simmons and freshman starting pitcher Tyler Glowacki. Dave, Helix, Santana next week?
That's what's strange is, what Santana did with Granite Hills, and yet we look back at Madison and what you guys did to Madison, it kind of offset it. So it was kind of a little strange how Santana did fare as they did, because you beat them, 11-5, I believe. And but I would definitely favor Helix in this one by at least 5 or 6 runs. I mean, they just have too much talent for the Sultans. I love the Sultans. Sorry about that, Rigo, but I'm going to have to go with Helix for sure.
We're going to take off the target marketing on a Santee this week. We talked about number 2, Grossmont, a little bit, and they have a set this week, a 2-game set we'll be interested in with the El Capitan Vaqueros. El Capitan have played that tough schedule against higher-rated teams. They're led by their senior pitching staff, Anthony Benedetto, Shane Cunningham, and Blake Payton. Payton, you're familiar with him as well.
You want to go ahead and speak on Peyton?
Blake Payton, I've, played against him before in Little League, when I was 12. He was a really good pitcher then. Over time I've played against him multiple times in travel ball. He's, really good pitcher, throws hard. And with a wipeout slider. He's definitely, really tough pitcher to face, but
let's hope El Cap, they're one of the teams I've actually had trouble getting a lot of information from, but hope things get rolling in Lakeside. Let's move the Monta Vista Monarchs into the number 4 position in our poll, Dave. The Monarchs earned the Grossmont Metro City Tournament Division Championship bid with a win over the Foothills Christian Knights on Thursday, who were previously number 4, so let's just move them up to number 4, and that was Monta Vista's 3rd straight win. Sophomore Abraham Sanchez, he is a budding star on the mound right now. He was in a great pitching duel with the Knights' Bailey Lewis, but Andy Canedo ended up getting the game-winning run, and he got the win on the mound. They're going to open up Valley League play at Mount Miguel on Tuesday. How about the Monarchs?
I would say that the Monarchs can only go up, and with the facing Mount Miguel's been losing every game that they lose by a minimum of one game or less, or 1 point, I should say, or less. I'm going to look for an upset, though, and look for Frank Hoyt and his boys to beat Monte Vista by 1.
That will really shake things up to start off the Valley League, trust me on that. Number 5 is going to be the Christian Patriots. They won an East County matchup last week with Valley League contender Steel Canyon 14-3. Alex Markowitz got the win and drove in 2 runs. And then the Pats beat your old playoff buddies from last year, Francis Parker, out at the Lancers Field 6-5. So you know what that's like. We played those incredible games with them last year. And that heartbreaking loss, the 3-2 at that goofy field they've got. But in that win, Garrett Nielsen, a friend of yours, Trevor, he had a leadoff home run in that one. Tell me about Garrett over at Christian. He's off to a red-hot start, 3 home runs so far.
Yeah, me and Garrett became really close over the past few years because of Will, and we always hung out and played basketball. I know he's got a really talented bat, and I'm excited to see his future.
Dave also in that one, Owen Easley had a big home run, and Brad Jeremiah, 18 RBI so far, one of the leading run producers in the East County. The Patriots are back to work this week. Guys, listen to this. You guys got 10 days off. This week they're going to play Madison, Cathedral, and Saints. All this week. Dave, the Patriots.
Well, you know what? I think, believe it or not, that if they get 1 out of those 3, I think it's very possible. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they'll get 2 out of 3. They're red hot right now. They've won 4 in a row. They have the offense to do it. And you know what? They have a couple of pitchers that have come along. One in particular, Luke. You remember, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, he threw a complete game shutout. So I'm looking for sure. Christian's got a guy back too. I don't have the name at the top of my head right now, but for sure Christian's going to win at least 2 out of 3.
Nice. That will put the season right back on track for the Patriots. Now I want to talk about not the other team on Madison Avenue. I'm talking about the El Cajon Valley Braves under Coach Clifton Thomas. They're off to a 4-4 start. They played an incredible game on Thursday afternoon against the Lincoln Hornets. Lincoln Hornets are ranked number 1 in CIF Division 5, and El Cajon Valley fell just short of that team, 6-5, despite 4 RBI from red-hot Robert Verdugo, who's batting .524 this season, and they got another workmanlike effort from pitcher Greg Sanchez, who has a season ERA under 2. The Braves play West Hills at home in what should be a tightly contested game to open up the Valley League season. How about the Braves?
I tell you what, I'm going to look for an upset there too. I like Mickey and his boys down there in Santee, but the way the Braves are playing right now and be able to contend with somebody like Lincoln, I definitely think that they're going to be able to start off well in league and take care of West Hills.
It sounds good. West Hills will go in there. They won both of their ball games this past week as well behind their terrific pitching led by Cody Pedrero, who struck out 10 in a 1-0 win over the UC Centurions, and a confidence building for that offense that's batting just about 200 on the season. They had a 13-run outburst against San Diego from 3 RBI day for Kai Dennis, who went over the 300 mark. So things are turning around offensively in West Santee. One other game to touch on in the Grossmont Valley League openers next week is Valhalla at Steel Canyon on Tuesday. This one should also be closely rated. The Cougars got a great win over Point Loma behind senior pitcher Ivan Canales this week. The Norsemen, meanwhile, won at La Jolla 9-1 last week as Tanner Smith was strong again with a 4-hitter and 7 strikeouts. Kyle Casper led the offense with 3 hits and 3 RBI. I'm told that they are in the GMC Division Final on Saturday. Most of you will see this show after that game is played, but I believe that they play Point Loma on Saturday morning. Dave, Steel Canyon, Valhalla next week?
Well, I'm interested to see who they start. One of their better pitchers in the rotation is Trevor Back, senior. He did have another one that had a complete game shutout. I think if they start him, they definitely have a great shot at beating Valhalla, and they definitely have the firepower behind them as well. And they have a new coach, Jesse Evans, over there, former El Capitan Vaquero.
The H12 Prep Baseball Report. Visit the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Get lessons from top local instructors. Use our team workout and cage facility specials, newly renovated. for baseball and softball. Plus, have your performance metrics analyzed using patented technology in HitTrax. That's the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Call Scott Hoppy Hopgood at 619-328-1412. That's the H12 Sports Academy in El Cajon.
Well, that's going to do it for the H12 Prep Baseball Report from H12 Sports Academy here off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. I'd like to thank the Granite Hills Eagles, Trevor Hazelhurst, Brad Harris for joining us. For Dave Dickens, I'm Ramon Scott. Thank you to our sponsors this week, Al's Sports Shop, Nicolosi's Italian Restaurant, and we welcome Retro Sports. Dave, the list is growing by the week of sponsors, so that's a good sign.
Absolutely.
So like us, share us, retweet us, do whatever you have to do. Be sure to join us again next week on the H12 Prep Baseball Report.
The H12 Prep Baseball Report.